Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video, but we're going to talk about the Hollywood strikes. We're going to give you an update on it because it looks like SAG-AFTRA got called out. They're going to stop approving these interim agreements. Now, for those of you who don't know, interim agreements are side deals that some producers were making with the unions to be able to continue production during the strike. And of course, SAG-AFTRA said, hey, this is fine. This is good for us because these people, they're not the big studios that we're striking against. And it shows that our terms work and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, some people, including Sarah Silverman, were very upset that some people got to work while other people had to picket. They started eating each other. It wasn't a good look. I'm going to be honest, regardless of how you feel about the strikes. It wasn't a good look to say, hey, we're all on strike, we're all in this together. And even you YouTubers and you TikTokers that don't have any skin in this game, yeah, you basically have to go on strike too. Because if you ever want to join our union, we're going to remember who you are, right? But then they let their own people go out there and film movies. Well, yeah, and a lot of them being A-listers, a lot of them being Oscar winners, people that surely have enough money. They don't really need to work right now. But these people are out there working while the plebs get to carry the picket signs around. I thought that was kind of funny because I'm like, yeah, you see how this actually works? You see how this actually works? I'm like, this is in real time. People think I'm very salty about the unions. I don't have any skin in the game. I don't care. What I care about is when they go out there and they tell YouTubers that they're not allowed to cover Hollywood or they're not allowed to talk about things or take money from studios or anything like that. Because you have to be on strike with them. You have to agree with everything that they're striking for. And I do agree with, I'd say about 3/4 of what they're looking for. We're going to talk about this because the sticking points the studios have are some of the sticking points I have, which is basically the size of the writer's room and whether or not AI can be used at all in production because there's no stopping it. We can slow it down. We can try to minimize the economic impact it has on people. We can try to be smart in how we use it, but you can't stop it. You cannot stop technology. It's going to keep going, guys. Hate to break it to you. I'm sure the whip and buggy manufacturers were very angry about automobiles. In fact, I think there's a whole story there about how angry they were about automobiles and they were trying to do some damage there. But let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. No woohoos today. I'm sorry. I just don't give a good woohoo. I don't think it would be appropriate to give a woohoo during these trying times when Hollywood is facing an existential crisis, as some outlets have called it. We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about the counter offer. Apparently, the studios are mulling over a counter offer from WGA, which is the Writers Guild. And I don't think they're going to sign it as is. And again, it comes down to, I think, the writer's room and AI. That seems to be the big sticking points. I think residuals and raises, I'm with you on that if they're making all kinds of money off of your shows. If they are making all kinds of provable revenue off of your series, I think that you're probably due to get a cut of that, to get your fair share of it. If they're spending millions and millions of dollars on shows that don't perform and don't bring jack shit to the platform, or in the case of some of Disney Plus's shows, actually drive people away, nah, I don't think you should get paid more. That's my opinion, though. And it's also pushing movies back. Tron Ares is indefinitely shelved at this point, I guess. I don't think I want to see this movie. I wanted a Tron 3 that was a sequel to Tron Legacy, but the director moved on to Top Gun Maverick and he's not involved in this one, and it's a Jared Leto movie and I don't care. I don't care about this one at all. So whatever. If it dies on the vine, fine. Let's look at this. This is comingsoon.net. SAG-AFTRA to stop approving interim agreements for indie projects. They announced on Monday they're no longer going to grant interim agreements to independent projects written under the previous Writers Guild of America contract. In a statement made on the union's site, the group acknowledged the move. They confirmed that going forward, for productions taking place in the USA, wink, wink, SAG-AFTRA will only grant interim agreements for non-WGA covered projects. and our staff will continue to investigate each application for an interim agreement to ensure only true independent productions are included. According to the statement, the move comes from the advisement of the WGA. The organization noted that modifying the rule would assist them in executing their strike strategy. We believe it does not undermine the utility and effectiveness of ours. It's a win-win change. Judging by the language in the update, it seems as if all previous agreements will be honored, though SAG-AFTRA didn't comment on those in the statement. Now, in order to obtain an interim agreement from the union in the future, producers must now show they have no financing from companies involved with AMPTP, Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers. Basically, what was going on was some people were accusing these people of crossing the picket line because they were working on quote unquote independent productions that they knew damn well would wind up on Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu or something like that. So basically these companies were getting their content anyway. They were just kind of laundering the content. And, this is all kinds of fun because, again, you've got people kind of eating each other at this point because there doesn't seem to, from where I'm sitting on the outside, and again, this is coming as someone who is eligible to join and has no intention of ever joining, it looks to me like there is no real strategy. Like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. Like a lot of this stuff, it seems like they're making it up as they go. Like some people can work, some people can't. Hey, influencers, you can't even cosplay. Oh, no, that's not what we meant, guys. That's not what we meant. No, it was a little too much. We've got celebrities out there that are clearly unhappy with the situation. Stephen Amell, Zachary Levi, making comments at conventions, even though they tend to support the union overall. They do not like the fact that they are not allowed to promote or talk about shows that were already produced, especially stuff they worked on like 20 years ago. I personally don't understand that. I think that logic is really dumb. Like if it's something current, I can understand striking it, but if it's something you did 20 years ago, like you're not allowed to talk about it. Like, hey, I was in an episode of The Twilight Zone back in the 60s, but I'm not allowed to talk about it because we're striking against Paramount or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It seems dumb. It just seems really dumb to me. And something I want to talk about here before we get into this counter offer is I want to talk about FICOR. So this term might come up just kind of like how a lot of normies didn't know what force majeure was, which is basically if the strike goes on for a long time, the studios reserve the right to cancel projects they're going to consider like an act of God, right? A lot of people don't know what FICOR is, financial core. It's basically if you were a member of SAG-AFTRA or the WGA and you get sick of their bullshit and you leave, you're allowed to leave. It's like leaving the Amish, though. You will be shunned, right? Like if you leave, they do not think very highly of you. Now, as I understand it, if you leave, you basically have to pay whatever the nominal fees are to, cover costs or whatever, but you don't get a say in any union activities. You also are not beholden to them. You can work when others cannot because you're technically not part of the union. You might be paying a little bit of money, but you're not technically part of the union. And some bigger actors have actually quit SAG-AFTRA and the WGA and gone out on their own, and they've been fine. But I'm telling you, like if you do this, they consider you a scab. I think that they're going to gossip about you behind your back. They're maybe not going to hire you for certain things. But here on the SAG-AFTRA site, they're like, if someone's pressuring you to go FICOR, here are ways to say no, guys. It's like doing drugs. Membership in SAG-AFTRA means you're a professional. What do I have to lose if I'm working on a non-union production? Contracts and residuals and stuff. Like, God forbid you be responsible for your own shit, right? I just want to put this out, though, because they do keep track of who left. And we know that everybody that has ever left one of these unions wound up being a nobody. I mean, look at this. 1981, George Lucas. Who the hell is George Lucas? George Lucas quit the WGA, and that completely destroyed his career. Man, Francis Ford Coppola? Who the fuck is that guy? He quit. He went FICOR. Who is he? Nobody remembers this guy. Bob Gale. Didn't he do Back to the Future? Pfft. Steven Soderbergh? I don't know. Who are these losers? Look at these losers. George Clooney quit. What a freaking loser. Who else do we got on here? Sylvester Stallone. Do you remember that guy? Nobody remember. Remember that movie that, I forget what it was called, that movie, that boxer? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody remembers who these people are, right? So if you quit the union to go out on your own so you don't have to deal with all the bullshit, you're just going to fade into obscurity. No, actually, I think what's going to happen, I'm going to be completely honest here. I think what is going to happen is this strike is going to push more writers and actors into going FICOR. I think they're going to quit the union. I really do. I could see somebody like Steve Amell or Zach Levi being like, you know what? This is bullshit. I'm leaving. I'm quitting. And I think a lot of people are going to quit. And I don't think there's going to be that much of a stigma attached to it after the dust settles, because you got to do what you got to do to save your own ass, right? I mean, that's my personal opinion. But I am a libertarian, and they're not well liked by unions. So anyway, let's talk about this counter offer, and then we'll wrap this up. Hollywood studios offer counter proposal to screenwriters in an effort to end the strike. The WGA said it will respond to an offer from AMP-TIP this week as financial losses for the industry mount. Experts estimate that the total hit to California's economy now totals $3 billion. The offer from the AMP-TIP, which represents 8 major studios, came Friday, the WGA said. Sometimes more progress can be made in negotiations when they're conducted without a blow-by-blow description of the moves on each side and a subsequent public dissection of the meaning of the moves. You're afraid of your own members. That's my personal opinion, the WGA said. They don't want their members to know the blow-by-blow because they might not agree with the blow-by-blow, because it could be that these people are all chummy with the studios and they're yucking it up, drinking cocktails, whatever. And the reality is that your plebs are out there picketing, and you guys are all like, yeah, we'll get this sorted out eventually. It'll be fine. You don't want another Sarah Silverman or Stephen Amell or Zachary Levi. You want one of those guys calling you out because it makes headlines. It added, that will be our approach, at least for the time being, until there's something of significance to report, or unless management uses the media or industry surrogates to try to influence the narrative. Okay. Sure, Jan. What's in the counterproposal? The offer includes concessions related to disputes over the use of artificial intelligence, access to viewer data, and residual payments. Again, some of those things I agree with. Saying that you have to have X number of people in a writer's room, I don't agree with, because it's not realistic in this day and age, unless you're working on something like Seinfeld, which is very unlikely because linear TV is not what it used to be. According to the proposal, AMP-TIP said it will ensure humans will not be replaced by AI in screenplay production, Bloomberg reported. It has also agreed to share streaming viewership data, including how many hours viewers spend watching a particular show, let writers in on how widely watched their programs are. I think this is going to come as a massive shock to people. I do. I think there are people out there that are running at the mouths on social media that think that their shows are like the hottest thing ever. And I think they're going to get this data and they're going to be like, well, shit, nobody's watching my show. Damn, this explains why I got a 50-cent residual check. Nobody's watching my show. Do it like YouTube. Show public view count. Do a public view count on all the Disney Plus shows and all the Netflix shows. Don't go by hours streamed. How many people actually watch this show? With regards to residual payments, which writers argue have eroded with the rise in streaming, the union has offered WGA members a more than 20% increase in residual payments when their show re-airs on new networks, according to the report. So here is the big one right here. Why are writers on strike? The so-called writer's room. The thing that's happened with the streaming economy is that the writers' rooms have literally gotten smaller. Back in the day, a show typically had 15 to 20 writers to write scripts for shows in development. Yes, when those shows had 26-episode seasons and the money was rolling in and you could afford to do that. A lot of these shows get like 6 or 8 or 10 episodes, and it's all a gamble. The streamers don't know how they're going to perform. These days, There are things called mini rooms, which are smaller rooms, and there are maybe only 3 to 5 writers in a room, and they work for fewer weeks a year. So there just isn't the kind of regularity in the profession, the kind of stability in the profession that existed before. I'm sorry. Because these shows, they come and go. Look at how many shows Netflix cancels. You know, if it doesn't perform out of the gate, you're done. You know, to quell the concerns, AMTIP has proposed a 5% salary increase in the minimum duration of work for writers in mini rooms. Okay, well, that's not terrible, right? I mean, what they're looking for, though, is you're looking for long-term job security on shows that might not warrant producing any more episodes. You know, I don't understand this. I don't understand the thought process behind this. Any place else, anything else. Like, hey, the company is not bringing in enough money to pay your salaries. You're going to get gone, or they're going to shut it down. But a lot of these people are just like, well, I know nobody watches my show, but you know, I need to work. I need to work 5 days a week, you know, 52 weeks a year on a show nobody watches. And so do 20 of my friends. That doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. So we'll see what happens. I think, to be honest, that they're going to get some of what they want. They're not going to get everything. And I do fully believe that the landscape is going to completely change. The people that get what they want, I think it's going to come at the expense of fewer people working in the industry overall. Like, we might have 20 really well-paid people versus 50 so-so paid people, or 100 people that aren't paid very well. But, you know, we'll pick the 20 best writers or actors, whatever, for the project, and the rest of you can get gone. They were going to cut back anyway, and this was all part of the plan. My understanding is that the studios knew damn well this was going to happen. It was threatened for months, maybe years, and it happened right when they wanted to get rid of content. They wanted to be able to get rid of content and get rid of people and be able to have an out. Oh, force majeure, guys. We got to cancel these projects because nobody's going to watch them. And oh, there's a strike. Oh, I'm so sad. There's a strike. Oh no, what are we going to do? Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.